Welcome to Up Close. I'm your host, Deli Keynes. During the Prime Minister's Independence Address, marking the 30th anniversary of our independence, Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, announced that the government of St. Kitts will launch a new housing initiative in the coming months. One that would continue the revolution of access to affordable housing started by this government in 1995. Independence 30, Habitat 500, as the program was coined, was launched in 2014 and saw a name change shortly to Independence 30, Habitat 1000, a bold initiative in which the government plans to build 1,000 homes for our families in the coming year. Under the guise of the National Housing Corporation, nationals have witnessed groundbreaking ceremonies for the first 3 developments under this initiative: the Stone Fort Housing Extension, High Point Family Housing in Fig Tree, and the Pine Gardens Horizons in Shadwell. The 3 developments signal the construction of the first 100 homes under Independence 30 Habitat 1000. Nestled on fertile lands with exceptional views, our families will be proud to call these communities home. At the groundbreaking ceremony held for the Pine Gardens Horizons development in Shadwell, an overview of the residences, which consist of duplex homes and townhouses, was provided by the National Housing Corporation manager, Miss Judith Rollins.
The duplexes, as you know, is a house, 2 houses put together with a party wall. Each side of the house is about 700 square feet, consisting of 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, living, dining, and kitchen space, a laundry facility, whether it be a laundry closet or a separate laundry space, as well as a terrace. These buildings would line the outer edge of the site on the periphery. The other buildings would be 8 townhouse buildings, which are 2-story buildings as we have grown to know them, consisting of about 1,150 square feet. On the upstairs is 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and then on the lower level it's the living, dining, kitchen, and laundry facility, as well as there's a terrace from one of the bedrooms and a terrace on the lower level as you enter the living room. The townhouses have 4 party walls which join 5 units together. To the front of the building, there's individual parking space, as well as this community would have parking space for when you have guests coming over. If the neighbor is having a little barbecue, you will have space for parking for the general public as well. There will be a central garbage facility because as we move, Mr. Bridgewater will tell you, as we move forward, we'll be looking at having centralized garbage collection areas.
Today we are here to launch Pine Gardens Horizon Housing. For me, it's a historic day. Judith really didn't tell you the details of how we've been pushing and boxing and fighting for this. The only thing that the Honorable Minister of Housing and I didn't do is come to fist fights over this. But again, like everything else that you really want badly, you have to fight for it. It's not fight in the literal sense, but you can't be laid back on it. You have to keep pushing for it. And so we kept pushing, and I'm happy to say that the minister was very amenable. He heard, he listened, as he usually does. And I'll tell you some other areas in which he has helped. And also, Miss Rollins, we call her sometime early in the morning. You could hear she's still not wake up yet, but we wake her up nonetheless, in order to ensure that this project was on the way. So we're here today. I want to say something historically first, especially as we're coming out of Labor Weekend, where we recognize the part that the labor movement played in the total development of the country. And I want to say to you that every social revolution that has taken place in this country has taken place under a labor government. This is not by accident. whether it's education, health, housing, or just democratic reforms in our democratic process, all have taken place under a Labour government. You can go and do your research according to EK. And you would notice that way back then, when the movement was first formed 82 years ago, one of the struggles was for reform in housing. As it stood back then, housing came as part of your employment. So if you work on an estate, they will grant you a little favor by giving you some place on the estate to stay. But the minute you lost your job, you know what that meant. Your housing, or where you were sheltered, because you can't even call it housing, where you were sheltered also went along with the fact that you were no longer on the job. And this was used as a sort of stick, a big stick, in many instances over the head of workers who felt threatened by the fact that they would lose their shelter for themselves and their families if they ever sort of said they were not happy with working conditions. That is where we were 82 years ago. So we've come a long way.
We are gathered here today to focus on the development of affordable housing through Habitat Independence 30, the construction of 1,000 houses. The Ministry of Housing, with the National Housing Corporation and the support ministries such as the Ministry of Sustainable Development and the Ministry of Public Works and Public Utilities, share a passion for housing, because we understand that developing affordable housing is about creating opportunities for our people. We all know that there is more to housing than providing shelter. Yes, we know that shelter is important to keep our possessions safe from the elements. Shelter is essential to provide comfort and a gathering place for the family to be nurtured and feel safe. We know a comfortable dwelling can help to build moral and personal esteem. Home ownership can be the jump-off point for pursuing other goals, whether it be the expansion of the house, rental space, or a business run out of the home, as we see so often in some of these communities, or even a resource of financial security when approaching a financial institution. Knowing the importance of housing to all aspects of nation building, the government continues to make housing a priority. In March 2014, we began the new Habitat Independence 30 housing program through the National Housing Corporation, which is mandated to build 1,000 homes throughout the island. The launch of the Pine Garden Horizons, which will be a housing complex comprised of townhouses and duplexes, together making up 62 homes. This housing development is a significant opportunity for the people of Bastille, where the demand for affordable housing remains high. As you would know, Bastille has one of the highest population density of the Federation. Bastille as our urban center has attracted people as they gravitate towards jobs, schools, government services, medical facilities, and other important services. The challenge of providing affordable homes within the Bastille is one of finding ways to use the limited lands available within Bastille and the environs responsible. We all know that land in Bastille is very limited, and I must say that again. Land in Bastille is very limited. This new development here at Pine Gardens Horizon will conserve on its land use by creating a complex of townhouses and duplexes that will utilize less land than providing individual homes on 4,000 square feet of lots. Pine Garden Horizon will utilize 4 acres of land versus 62 lots with access roads using up 7 to 8 acres of land. As we continue to provide affordable homes, we will be also responsible in conserving land so that future generations will have similar opportunities to own property within the proximity of Bastille. The construction of houses is an opportunity for much economic activity. I can't say enough of the opportunities it provides to contractors and their employees, heavy equipment operators, hardware supply stores, and more. It will take approximately 125 million EC dollars to build 1,000 homes, and I'm not even calculating the cost of supporting utilities of roads, electricity, and water as yet.
What a lovely spot this is. As I came up from the main road and looked across and looked down, I again can imagine what it will be like to be living here in what we now call the Pine Garden Horizon, or Pine Garden Horizon, and Pleasant View as well, housing development. I believe that this site, nestled under these hills and these mountains, with Bastille and the Bastille Harbor stretching far into the distance, one could not find a better place to build our homes. Today, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis continues its program of uplift and advancement. Today, indeed, we make good our pledge and our promise to transform lives all across this country in positive, dramatic, and lasting ways. And we make good on our pledge and our promise to transform lives all throughout constituency number 2 into positive, dramatic, and lasting ways as well. Today, Habitat 30, the government housing program established in commemoration of the peace, stability, and hope that characterize our nation at the time of our 30th anniversary of independence, is being launched in constituency number 2 here in Pine Garden Horizon. Constituency number 4 has had its own launch at Stone Fort several weeks ago. Constituency number 5 also has had its launch at High Point in Fig Tree, Sandy Point, just about 2 weeks ago. And today, in a spirit of confidence and thanksgiving, constituency number 2 is having its Habitat 30 launch here in the Pine Garden area. This government, which I am honored to lead, pledged to transform lives all across our nation for the better. And what more fitting way can there be for a government to transform the lives of our people than to deliver to nationals who have never owned land and who have never owned their own homes, home ownership, for them, for their children, and for generations unborn. Once a home is paid for, as we know, it belongs to the purchaser forever, and it can be passed on to the purchaser's children and grandchildren as well, forever and forever. When a house has been paid for, the person who has paid for the house and all who will in the future live in that house will be forever free of any obligation to pay rent or any type of mortgage payment. And this freedom, of course, would then permit whatever funds are available to the family to be used instead for savings, for investments, and for other priorities. And so I urge all who will own a home here at Pine Garden Horizon, and indeed all who are currently paying for any home anywhere in our federation, to see mortgage payments as an important long-term commitment that will produce generous and multifaceted benefits multi-generationally. This really is an investment of transformation. And that is what our government is all about, ladies and gentlemen. In addition to the act of creating homeowners, what more dramatic way can there be to transform these lands? Lands which for centuries had been worked by enslaved Africans, our proud ancestors, than to turn these lands into healthy neighborhoods and open communities for the descendants of those same Africans. Once an area thick with the razor-sharp sugarcane blades and back-breaking work that was never compensated, this area from which pine garden horizons will emerge will now become yet another example of our people's indisputable march forward, of our people's sharp break from a distant past, of our people now being in a position to be in control, real control of real, valuable, and constantly appreciating assets for generations to come.
The government continued to demonstrate its unwavering commitment to progress of providing affordable housing by announcing in the post-cabinet briefing of Wednesday, April 7th, approval of other developments by the Cabinet of Ministers. The following have been approved and construction will commence in coming months. Sadler's Housing Extension, 63 units, 42 housing lots for the Estridge Housing Extension in Mansion, 91 housing lots at White House Garden Housing Development, and 48 housing lots at Shawwell, West Housing Development, and Olive Circle. These are in addition to the High Point, Stone Fort, and Pine Garden horizons. The housing revolution continues, and housing is dynamic here in St. Kitts. I'm Deli Keynes. Thanks for watching from the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service.